Well, welcome to part 2 of the custom battery cable upgrade kit for my 2004 Jeep Wrangler TJ Rubicon. I am now going to install an upgraded alternator. The factory alternator is 90 amps, and I'm going to upgrade to a 160 amp brand new alternator made by PA Performance that I found on extremeterrain.com. The reason I went with this as opposed to the 160 amp Durango upgrade is I wanted a brand new alternator built from all new parts. And when I looked at the entire spectrum of alternator upgrades you can do on the Jeep TJ 4.0 liter, this fell kind of right in the middle. You got the cheapest way to do it is to use a used Durango alternator, 160 amp, maybe from a junkyard. It's going to be just about as old as the one that's on the Jeep now. So just the longevity could be questionable there. Yeah, you'll be getting more power, but how much longer is it going to last? I want this Jeep to last. I want it to be reliable when I'm exploring, when I'm overlanding, or just anywhere I'm taking it. I want the electrical system to be reliable because there's going to be a lot of electrical accessories on this Jeep. I have future plans to install a winch and a 3,000 watt power inverter to run a compressor and air tools and just what have you. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have the mean green alternators, aftermarket alternators that are really good. They pump out over 200 amps, but then you're talking, $300 to $400. So I figured spending $190 shipped is pretty good for a pretty significant upgrade to the factory alternator. I had a similar setup to this in my 2008 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon, and those come from the factory with a 160 amp alternator setup, and it ran beautifully. The 3,000 watt inverter would run my 2 horsepower air compressor that I could plug right in with a three-prong plug, and it worked flawlessly. I had air tools. I had a really cheap onboard air system. I bought the compressor from Pep Boys back in 2008. It was like $100 on sale. So I had this really awesome onboard air system, and then I could run a plethora of power accessories as well. So I'm going to install this 160 amp alternator to kind of round out my electrical upgrade of this 2004 Jeep Wrangler. I started with the Odyssey Extreme battery, AGM battery running 850 cold cranking amps. I've had experience with those in the past through the old Sears Die Hard Platinum series. Used to be rebadged Odysseys. At least that was the rumor, and they looked pretty much identical, just different color. And that thing worked great in my 2004 Jeep Grand Cherokee WJ Overland. So now I'm going to be using that Odyssey in this one. Upgraded the battery cables, and they are said to be able to accommodate the 160 amp alternator. There's a 4 gauge wire that goes to from the alternator to the battery with a fusible link. That should be sufficient. I hope it's sufficient. It says it's sufficient. Some people might say this is overkill, but I'd really like to be safe than sorry. And now the 160 amp alternator will round out the package and hopefully have a pretty good electrical system in the Jeep. I'll be able to run the winch, the lights. As it stands, I have a ham radio that runs 15 amps at full power when it's transmitting 50 watts. I got a CB radio on top of that. I have an LED light bar. What else? I know there's something else on here. So yeah, just gonna go ahead and get started. A little bit concerned when I opened this package from PA Performance. When I opened the packing slip here, it said 136 amp Nippon Denso alternator. And I know I had ordered a 160 amp alternator. So I started going online, looking at the part numbers and stuff, and this was a little bit different. But once I actually pulled this thing out, looked at it right here, 160 amp new Jeep alternator kit, assembled with 100% new components, and it's the same part number. Felt pretty reassured after that. I guess that's just how it's labeled in their system. Here she is. The PA Performance 160 amp alternator. You can see here's the factory alternator. This pops right in. Got this connecting arm here, this one here. Here's your power stud for this. And in the back you have this power connector as well. So all we need to do, undo these two bolts here, disconnect this power line, and then move the serpentine belt, the tensioner. Hopefully loosen that up, and hopefully this will go pretty smoothly. First thing I need to do is disconnect the negative battery terminal. Now that I got the negative terminal out of the way, I'm gonna disconnect the power wire. Gonna disconnect this rear power. Does not want to move. There we go. That hose is just right in the way. Try this one. Of course, this bottom one's being a little bit tough. Now I don't have much leverage. All right, got that unfastened. I guess now we just got to pry it out of here. It's probably going to be easier said than done. Well, maybe. Getting desperate. Oh. Gotcha. Gotcha. He's a crap. Out with the old, in with the new. Let's hope you're not as much a pain going in as the other one was taken out. No. Guess you gotta reuse the old one. Feels like the longest bolt ever. All right, just need to put the belt back on, plug everything up, connect the battery, and we'll start it up. Well, here's a fitment issue. Just gotta shove it in there. Okay, cool. All right, now that we got everything installed and put back together, let's start her up. So far, so good. are good. That was the installation of the PA Performance 160 amp alternator for the 2004 Jeep Wrangler TJ Rubicon. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode. To say the LED light bar seems a lot brighter now with the new alternator.